They speak of leadership as though it were a crown bestowed, not a weight endured, as though to command is to shine, not to bleed. But those who've truly held power, not as a costume but as a weapon, know better. They know that every move that is not calculated is merely emotion disguised as will, and emotion is a luxury the throne cannot afford. Power does not forgive hesitation. It waits for no ideal. It is seized, shaped, worn like armor, and discarded like flesh when no longer useful. To rule is not to dream. It is to dissect. To see the world not as it should be, but as it is raw, volatile, moved by appetites far older than morality. Most fail because they mistake loyalty for love and betrayal for anomaly. But loyalty is a transaction as long as it profits. Betrayal is not the exception. It is the pivot around which empires turn. If you do not factor treachery into your calculus, you are not calculating, you are hoping, and hope is the last light before darkness. The leader walks alone, not out of pride, but necessity. He must be beyond the reach of flattery, immune to the opiate of applause. For nothing weakens the hand faster than the illusion of safety. Power invites smiles that mask daggers. To rule is to recognize the mask and still play the game, to nod, to drink, to praise, while quietly counting the exits. To calculate is not to be cold, it is to be awake. It is to see that sentiment is the theater that obscures interest. That men will follow you not because you inspire, but because you intimidate, or feed them, or give them purpose in their fear. The wise ruler does not seek love, he seeks leverage. Love is volatile. Leverage, if maintained, endures. There are those who speak of virtue, of justice, of the people's will as if these were ends in themselves. But even justice is a mask worn by the victor. The people do not want justice. They want victory, or vengeance, or bread. The rest is rhetoric useful for crowds, dangerous for rulers. A prince must speak the language of ideals while calculating in the dialect of necessity. Do not mistake control for stability. Stability is a performance. Behind the curtains, chaos is always pacing. Your job is not to eliminate it. Your job is to choreograph it, to keep it dancing where you can see it, where it serves your ends. Control is not order, it is managed disorder. Your enemies are not evil. They are simply those whose ambitions contradict your own. Do not hate them, understand them, anticipate them, mirror them if you must. The leader who wastes energy on hatred is distracted. The leader who studies his enemies is prepared. Emotion blinds. Calculation sharpens. You will be betrayed. Not once, not by one. Betrayal is the heartbeat of power. It tests the blood in your veins. And when it comes, as it always will, the question is not why, but how you will use it. Will you collapse, or will you convert it into an example, a signal, a purge? Pain is inevitable. Weakness is optional. To ascend is to amputate. Comfort, friendship, at times even conscience, not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. The higher you rise, the colder the wind. You must decide whether to shiver or to build a fire from the very things that once kept you warm. Men obey strength, but they remember precision. A tyrant may rule for a season. But the ruler who moves with quiet calculation, who rewards publicly and punishes surgically, carves his memory into the bones of the state. Fear alone is unstable. Respect alone is naive. But when the two are braided together with purpose, you build something durable. Not adored, perhaps, but unchallenged. Do not chase popularity. It is a mirage. It vanishes the moment it is needed. Favor is fickle. Applause fades. But fear, once earned, lingers. And if not fear, then awe, the sense that to cross you is to flirt with ruin. That is the currency of lasting rule. You will be told to trust your instincts. But instincts are wild animals. They must be trained, refined, taught the scent of danger. The ruler's instinct is not impulse. It is experience distilled into reflex. If your decisions are sudden, make sure they were prepared long before the moment arrived. Spontaneity is a costume worn by the deeply strategic. The crowd wants spectacle. Give it to them. But never forget, the true battle is backstage. Appear simple, move complex. Let them laugh at your humility while your machinery hums beneath the surface. The strongest power is invisible until it is not. It is better to be underestimated than overexposed. Visibility invites scrutiny. Mystery breeds fear. Let them think you are softer than you are until they test you, then become what they doubted. And more. Do not explain yourself. Justify nothing. Apology is not virtue. It is an opening, a crack in the armor. Leaders who seek forgiveness are eaten alive by those who smell blood. Act. Absorb the consequences. Adjust, but never beg. There is no final victory. Every throne is provisional, every regime a phase. Rule, therefore, as if the day will come when the knives are drawn, because it will. And when that day comes, your survival will not depend on what was fair, but on what was prepared. To lead is to live in the tension between necessity and perception, to do what must be done and make it look like virtue. If you cannot be both fox and lion, you will be neither for long. Learn when to vanish. Learn when to roar. They will say you changed, that you became cold, ruthless, detached. Let them. Leadership is not a confession booth. It is a battlefield. The cries of the naive are the songs of the defeated. You do not owe the world your soul, only your strategy. Every move must be calculated, or it's just emotion, and emotion is for those who watch history, not those who write it. You are not here to be remembered fondly. You are here to endure. And those who endure shape the world in their shadow. The machinery of power is indifferent to your intentions. It rewards only effectiveness. It does not care if your heart is pure or poisoned. What matters is whether you can command the forces swirling around you, the ambitions, fears, desires, and hungers of others, and bend them silently to your will. Fail to do this, and you will be swept aside, another name in the endless graveyard of those who believed that virtue alone could anchor a state. The ruler who survives is the one who understands that ideals are arrows best kept in the quiver until the moment they serve a purpose. Until then, they are weights dragging you toward ruin. A leader who fears appearing cruel will soon discover that mercy is a luxury of the strong. It is granted only when power is so absolute that leniency costs nothing. But until you have reached that height, do not delude yourself. Mercy is often seen as weakness, and weakness invites challenge. If you must wound, wound in such a way that the victim cannot rise again. Half measures only prolong conflict and embolden enemies. The decisive strike, though it may draw whispers of ruthlessness, will bring silence where hesitation would have brought chaos. And silence is the ally of order. You will hear the call to transparency, to openness, as if sunlight alone purifies power. But full transparency is an illusion. Even light casts shadows. The state is not a garden tended in plain sight. It is an intricate machine, and the hand that guides it must know when to conceal its movements. A ruler who reveals every intention is like a general broadcasting his battle plans. Strategy dies in the light. Appear honest, even as you layer your words with meaning. The art is to seem as you are not, while remaining what you are. There will come moments when your position seems unassailable, when applause fills the air and allies surround you. These are the most dangerous moments of all. For it is here that complacency seeps in, that the mind softens and the hand grows unsteady. Remember always, the same voices that cheer your rise will celebrate your fall. Gratitude in politics is fleeting. Fear, properly cultivated, has a longer memory. Build systems that do not rely on the goodwill of others. Chain loyalty to interest, not affection. Bind your allies to you through shared gain, and if necessary, shared guilt. What a man fears to lose, he will fight to protect. To govern is to navigate illusion. You will never know the full loyalty of those around you. Smiles conceal daggers, and promises dissolve like smoke. Accept this. Expect nothing but watch everything. Distrust is not paranoia, it is vigilance. The ruler who trusts blindly is already conquered. Better to trust no one fully, and to hold the strings of power in such a way that even betrayal becomes a weapon in your hand. Let your enemies expose themselves in their haste, and when they do, strike swiftly, without hesitation, without remorse. There is a theater to power, a choreography that must never falter. Appear strong where you are vulnerable, and vulnerable where you are strong. Let them underestimate you. Let them believe they understand you. The greatest danger lies not in being hated, but in being predictable. Predictability is a map your enemies can follow to your destruction. Master the art of surprise. Become a shifting shape they cannot grasp, a presence they cannot pin down. Invisibility, not force, is the ultimate advantage. Men desire security, but they are restless creatures. They demand change, yet they fear it. They cry out for justice but revel in spectacle. Learn to give them what they crave without ceding what you need. Feed their passions in small doses, but never let their passions rule you. The moment the crowd believes it governs, you are already dethroned. Rule from a distance even as you stand among them. Smile, listen, promise, and calculate. Always calculate. Understand this. The leader does not have the luxury of being fully human. To endure, you must set aside parts of yourself that long for ease, for friendship, for innocence. These are not traits of the ruler, they are relics of the subject. To reign is to accept exile, not from the land, but from ordinary comforts. Those who cannot bear this solitude should not ascend. Power isolates. That is its cost and its protection. Every regime, every movement, every leader will face a reckoning. It may not come today or tomorrow, but it is inevitable. The wise ruler does not wait for it, he prepares for it. He builds defenses not of stone, but of perception, of fear, of alliances born from necessity. When the storm comes, he is not surprised, he is ready. Those who are ready survive. Those who are not become stories told as warnings to their successors. You will make mistakes. Even the most calculating cannot foresee every variable, every shifting loyalty, every act of God. But do not allow error to become paralysis. Correct swiftly, punish visibly, reward deliberately, and never let doubt infect your presence. The people do not follow perfection, they follow strength. Even if it is feigned, strength reassures, and reassurance is a pillar of control. Remember, too, that nothing is permanent. No dynasty, no system, no ruler lasts forever. This is not a cause for despair, but for clarity. Since your time is finite, act with urgency. Build not for eternity, but for resilience. Teach those beneath you to depend on your guidance so completely that your absence terrifies them more than your presence. Make yourself indispensable. Only then will you extend your reign beyond the limits of flesh. In the end, the ruler's task is simple to state, though brutal to enact. Command or be commanded, shape or be shaped, endure or perish. There is no middle ground. To hesitate is to invite defeat. To indulge in sentiment is to hand your enemies the blade. Power is not a gentle current, it is a torrent. You either ride it or drown in it. And if you would ride it, every move must be calculated, or it is nothing but the tremor of emotion. And emotion will betray you long before any enemy can. The mind of the ruler must become a fortress, not of stone but of discipline. Thoughts are the first battlefield, and indulgence in them is the first betrayal. Do not let your mind wander to how things might have been, or to the sweetness of lost innocence. Nostalgia is poison. The past cannot serve you, and the future belongs only to those who have the strength to shape it with cold hands. Sentiment clouds vision, and a ruler who cannot see clearly is already led by forces beyond his control. You must look at every relationship, every alliance, every smile, as a piece on the board, each with its own weight, its own reach, its own threat. Nothing and no one is neutral. There will be those who call you manipulative, as though this were an insult. But what is leadership, if not the orchestration of human nature? Men are not governed by reason alone. They are governed by fear, by desire, by envy, by hope. If you do not understand these levers, if you do not know how to pull them, you will forever be subject to the will of those who do. Manipulation is not evil. It is the ruler's art. The question is not whether you will manipulate, but whether you will do it well enough to preserve the state and yourself from the chaos that festers when no one commands. Appearances are not trivial. They are weapons. A ruler's power flows not only from what he does, but from what others believe he can do. If they think you are weak, you will be tested. If they think you are strong, they will hesitate. Hesitation is the crack through which control enters. Cultivate your reputation with care. A single act of weakness can undo years of strength, but a single act of decisive power can silence years of doubt. Reputation is not about being liked. It is about being respected and, when necessary, feared. Love may draw followers in times of peace, but fear keeps armies loyal in times of war. War itself is not an aberration. It is the natural state of politics, whether declared or hidden. You may not hear the clash of swords or the roar of guns, but the struggle for power never ceases. The battlefield has shifted from plains and fortresses to boardrooms, screens, and public sentiment, but the principles remain unchanged. Never forget, those who would unseat you are always watching, always waiting. While you rest, they sharpen their knives. Do not rest. If you must compromise, do so as a strategy, never as surrender. Give ground only to draw your adversary closer, to strike with greater precision. Concessions made from weakness invite contempt, but concessions made from strength can lull an enemy into complacency. And when the time comes, when their guard lowers and your trap is set, strike with speed and certainty. Power favors the patient hunter, but patience without action is cowardice. Your advisors, your ministers, even your closest confidants, see them as instruments, not companions. Instruments can be finely tuned or replaced when they break. Do not grow attached. Familiarity breeds contempt in those beneath you and weakens resolve in those above. Keep them dependent on you, uncertain of your favor. Let no one feel secure in their position except by your will. Insecurity breeds vigilance. Contentment breeds rebellion. You will not have the luxury of purity. Every decision will carry a price, every action a stain, but these stains are the marks of command. The naive dream of ruling without blood, without deceit, without compromise, and they die dreaming. The world does not bend to the pure of heart, it bends to the iron of will. Take no pride in cruelty, but do not flinch from it when it is necessary. Mercy is admirable only when backed by power, otherwise it is surrender in disguise. There is no honor in falling nobly. The grave does not reward principles, it swallows them. Better to live as a wolf than die as a lamb. The wolf may be hated, but it endures, and endurance is victory. To endure, you must not only be feared, but understood as inevitable. Let them conspire, if they dare. Let them whisper, and then, when the time is right, let their whispers end in silence. There is a rhythm to power acquisition, consolidation, projection. Master this rhythm, and you can dance upon the edge of chaos without falling. Lose it, and you will be consumed by the very forces you sought to command. Be wary not only of your enemies, but of your own triumphs. Success breeds arrogance, and arrogance blinds. You are never safer than in the moment after victory, and never closer to ruin. Guard yourself in triumph as you would in defeat. Rule not as a man, but as an institution. Make yourself synonymous with order, with stability, with the future itself. If they cannot imagine the state without you, then even your enemies will hesitate to remove you, for fear of the chaos that might follow. This is how you become more than a ruler, you become a necessity. But know this, no matter how high you climb, no matter how absolute your control, there will always be forces beyond you. Fortune, time, the shifting tides of the world, you cannot command these. You can only prepare. Build your state as a ship that can weather storms, even when you are gone. Build it so your enemies inherit a throne too heavy to lift, too dangerous to seize. And when you feel the weight of the crown pressing down, remember, you chose this path. You chose to command rather than obey, to shape rather than be shaped. Do not regret the cost. Regret is for those who lack the courage to pay it. You must not falter. You must not waver. For every move that is not calculated is merely emotion, and emotion has no place on the throne. You are not here to be loved. You are here to rule, and those who rule without calculation do not rule for long. Power is not a single conquest, but a constant maintenance, a ceaseless act of renewal. Each day you wake upon a throne that is never fully yours. It is loaned to you by fear, by consent, by perception, and the moment you believe it cannot be taken, it already has been. The throne does not rest upon marble or gold. It rests upon the shifting sands of human will, and only the ruler who understands this instability can survive. You must think of every alliance, every decree, every smile as scaffolding temporary, fragile, yet necessary to hold the edifice together. Build and rebuild, for the structure never completes itself. Those beneath you will speak of fairness, of equality, of ideals that sound sweet in the mouths of the powerless. But fairness is a myth, equality, an illusion. Hierarchies form in every group, every tribe, every system. They are not constructs to be torn down, but forces to be mastered. The ruler who denies this will find himself swept aside by those who do not. There is no virtue in pretending men are more noble than they are. Study them in their rawest form, what they envy, what they fear, what they lust after, and what they will kill to protect. Govern those instincts, and you govern them. Fear is not an end in itself, but it is a foundation. Without it, love grows arrogant, and rebellion takes root. Fear reminds the people of the boundary they must not cross. But fear alone is brittle. It must be tempered with rewards, with moments of clemency that are deliberate, strategic. Too much fear invites despair, and despair breeds the kind of desperation that makes men dangerous. Balance the two like the edge of a blade. Enough fear to prevent betrayal, enough hope to prevent collapse. Never let your hand appear unsteady. Doubt is contagious. The ruler's uncertainty is permission for rivals to act. Even when torn by indecision, even when the future is clouded, act as though you have seen the outcome and shaped it yourself. Confidence, even when feigned, is its own form of strength. In politics, perception creates reality. If they believe you are in control, then you are. The time will come when you must sacrifice what you once thought sacred, a friend, a belief, a part of yourself that you thought immutable. This is the toll of leadership. The state comes before the individual, even if the individual is you. The people will not remember your private agonies. They will only remember whether they ate, whether they were safe, whether the walls held against the storm. Be willing to bear the blame for decisions they could never make, to carry the weight they could never lift. This is not martyrdom, it is duty. Beware the comfort of peace. Peace is not the natural state of the world. It is a brief interlude between conflicts. In peace, vigilance wanes and softness spreads like rot through the court, through the army, through your own mind. Use peace to prepare for war will come whether you desire it or not. A wise ruler keeps the sword sharp even when it rests in the scabbard. He keeps his enemies close enough to observe, but far enough that they cannot strike. Do not waste time seeking gratitude. Gratitude is fleeting, erased by the next grievance, the next hunger, the next ambition. Give the people bread, and they will ask for wine. Give them wine, and they will ask for gold. Their memory is short. Their appetite is endless. Do not resent this. Exploit it. Keep them wanting, but never let them believe they can take what they want without you. Dependency is the strongest chain. Surround yourself with capable men, but ensure they fear you more than they covet your place. The ambitious must be watched, tested, and, when necessary, broken. Better to prune a branch than to let the whole tree fall. If you sense a rival rising too quickly, act before they believe they are your equal. The longer you wait, the harder the strike will be, and hesitation is the luxury of those without enemies. Understand also that there are moments when retreat is wiser than resistance. A tactical withdrawal is not defeat, it is preparation. Yield ground only to lure the enemy forward, to stretch their lines, to exhaust their strength, and when they are overextended, strike with everything you have. The greatest victories often come not from brute force, but from timing, from patience sharpened into precision. To rule is to understand that you are not merely a man. You are a symbol, a story, a force of nature in the eyes of those you govern. Cultivate that image carefully. Mystery magnifies power. The less they know of your inner workings, the more they will speculate, and speculation breeds fear. Do not let them see your doubts, your hesitations, your grief. Show them only the face they need to see, unyielding, deliberate, inevitable. And when the day comes that your reign ends be death, by overthrow, by time itself ensure that your legacy is not one of weakness. Leave behind a state so bound to your vision that your enemies can only imitate you, never replace you. This is the final calculation, to rule so completely that even in absence you remain present. Because in this world, the choice is simple. Shape or be shaped, command or be commanded, endure or vanish. Every move must be calculated, or it is nothing more than emotion. And emotion has no place in the mind of one who would hold power and survive its terrible weight. You are not here to be remembered with warmth. You are here to be remembered with silence, with fear, with reluctant respect. That is the only immortality the ruler can claim. And so you calculate, always calculate, until the end. You will tell yourself that you can step away, that you can relinquish power on your own terms, that you can lay down the crown and return to the quiet life you abandoned. This is the final lie power whispers, that it will release you when you are ready, but you know the truth. The throne is not a chair you sit upon. It is a blade pressed against your back. You do not leave it. It leaves you, and when it does, it will take a piece of you with it. If you have ruled well, if you have calculated every move, the state may outlive you. Your enemies may inherit a machine they cannot dismantle, a system so shaped to your will that your shadow governs from beyond the grave. That is the ruler's only immortality, not a name carved in marble, not the affection of the masses, but a structure too deep to uproot. Build such a structure, and even your absence will command obedience. Fail, and your name will be spat like ash by those who trample your works into the dust. Understand this. There is no final victory, no peace for the one who holds the reins. Power is not a resting place. It is a fire that must be fed, and to rule is to burn alongside it. Others may pray for justice, for love, for redemption. The ruler prays for nothing. He calculates, he acts, he endures. And in the end, when the dust settles and the voices fall silent, only one question remains. Did you shape the world, or did it shape you? The answer lies not in your words, but in the machinery you leave behind, in the fear and respect that linger after your hand has fallen still. You are not here to be understood. You are here to survive. You are here to command. So calculate every move as though it were your last, because one day it will be. But until that day comes, move, rule, endure.